So I'm at a movie the other day with my kids. We're getting settled in and we've got the popcorn, the slushies, and the previews start. So the first preview is for the new Willy Wonka film. I am a fan of the original, but this new one actually looks pretty darn good. The next preview was for Dune Part 2. And it was at this point that my 15-year-old daughter leaned over and said something that blew my mind. Willy Wonka and Paul Atreides, the Mahdi, are the same person.
Yes, he went to China. Oh, why didn't you tell me?
But seriously, gents, the actor Timothée Chalamet, he is all over the place. I first noticed him in the 2017 film Hostels. When I saw him, I was like, that guy's doing a pretty good French accent. Apparently, he's a French actor, which I thought was funny because in the 2019 film The King, he was actually playing an English king. And his opponent in that movie, the French king, was apparently being played by English actor Robert Pattinson. I don't know about you, but I just find that hilarious. Now I get it. Some of you guys may be thinking, Antonio, come on, what am I going to learn from this skinny French guy? He looks like he could get blown over by a strong wind. And to that, I say, that's the point. The guy doesn't have the typical muscular build that we see with Michael B. Jordan or Daniel Craig or Henry Cavill. No, instead we have someone that has a slender frame, has delicate features. And this is great because there's a lot of us, me included, that don't have perfect bodies and therefore would really like the clothing to be able to soup up our looks. So how to steal the style of Timothée Chalamet? Well, gentlemen, that's the subject of today's video. Now, really quick, gents, today's video is sponsored by my friends over at Ritual. Now, gents, for years, I've used Ritual's multivitamins and their Symbiotic Plus. Now, gents, if you're not familiar with their Symbiotic Plus, this is a prebiotic. It's a probiotic and a postbiotic, all in one. It's a 3-in-1 supplement that promotes balanced gut health. Now, gents, this is key because if you want great gut health, you need to have all three. Now, prebiotics, they support the growth of beneficial bacteria. Probiotics help support immune health as 70% of the immune system is located in the gut. And let's not forget about postbiotics. They're there to help support gut barrier function. Now with Symbiotic Plus, guys, all you're doing is adding one capsule to your daily routine. It's shelf stable, so it doesn't have to be refrigerated. It can be taken at any time of the day with or without food. And it's a delayed release capsule that helps it reach the colon, not the stomach, the ideal place for probiotics to survive and grow. Gents, I'm linking a Ritual down in the description of today's video with the best deal you're gonna find on the web. Use that link, or gents, just go over to ritual.com/30RMRS to save 30% off your first month. It's a subscription, so that way you never run out. Check them out, guys. If you want to improve your gut health, check out that Symbiotic Plus. Style tip number 1 to steal from Timothée Chalamet is to embrace your uniqueness and love what makes you unique. I know that sounds like a platitude, but here's the thing. Look at that guy's hair. He's got this long, curly hair, which if you look at earlier pictures of him, he actually didn't let grow out. I take it he was probably early on maybe a bit insecure about this. Here's the thing though. He has fully embraced his long, curly locks. I mean, it's safe to say you could walk into a room and spot this guy on his hairstyle alone. So the action step here is what makes you unique. How can you embrace it? How can you make it part of your signature look? Maybe you've got a little bit bigger of a nose. It doesn't bother you that much, but in pictures, you're always trying to take it straight on so that people don't see the side profile. Well, gents, what if you could flip the script? What if all of a sudden your nose is something you were proud of? You realize it's the same nose your grandfather had, who was a concert pianist, and all of a sudden you realize there's something to this schnoz. Maybe you've got a birthmark or a mole on your face. You've got a gap in your teeth. It's funny, especially as young people, how we develop a complex about something that is so small that, to be honest, no one's paying attention to this. Everyone is worried about their own issues. Gents, if you can find a way to turn that weakness into a strength, that's a huge win for your image and your own personal confidence. And speaking of confidence, Timothée Chalamet has tons of it. That being said, he didn't always. In fact, he was a child actor, and if you look back in his teens, a lot of times he looked a little bit insecure, like he didn't really want to be there. But here's the thing. He put in the reps. Basically, he had to get dressed well for the red carpets, for the events, for all the things that he had to attend as a professional. And because he put in those reps, because he practiced dressing well, all of a sudden dressing well wasn't uncomfortable. It was just simply something he did. Now, for you and me, I get it. The red carpet, not part of our, daily routine here. That being said, can you creatively find a way to be able to put in the reps to dressing better? Maybe on your date night with your girlfriend you've been with a couple years, you actually start to dress a little bit bit better. Wear a collared shirt. Maybe throw on a sports jacket. Buy something nice so you look good when you're going out with her. You're single? Well, how about maybe going out to those art galas? I know you're a plumber, you're a blue collar guy, but you can appreciate the finer things in life, especially the ladies, and go ahead and get dressed up and go to those events and meet new and interesting people. My point is, you get better at anything that you intentionally practice. That's when you put in the reps, you evaluate how you performed, and you work to get better. The next style secret to steal from Timothée Chalamet: bring in texture. Especially, again, if you're a thinner guy, texture is your friend. It adds a bit of depth. If you want to just change up, you want to actually get people to touch, don't be afraid to bring in texture. Cashmere sweaters. You can bring in suede jackets. You can bring in suede shoes. I think Timothée, he brought in, what was it, this velvet suit, Alexander McQueen, I believe. And okay, this may be over the top, a little bit too much for most of you, and you're not going to find a functional purpose maybe to wear it, but look at what will fit into your wardrobe. Let's get back to suede. I've talked about suede shoes, and yes, they make water and weather resistant suedes. You got to look for them, but you can bring in a pair of boots. All of a sudden, you're really just having fun. A lot of you guys out in California, you don't get very often monsoon crazy weather, so take advantage and bring in more of those textures, like, again, the suede jackets, maybe a velvet jacket. Find something. You can even go for, hey, you want something that's going to be tough? Maybe look at corduroy. Yes, when it comes to trousers, comes to pants, something that a lot of guys you maybe had as a kid, you can bring back in. Just go for a few more whales. That's going to be the number of ribs per inch. You want to go for about 11 versus 7. I guess you could still wear it in pants. Now, I mentioned sweaters. Wool is nice, but cashmere, there's just something about it that draws in the ladies and guys. People just want to touch cashmere. They're just drawn to it. And if you find a nice sweater, fits you well, all of a sudden it can be a signature piece that, makes people want to get close to you. The next style secret is that Timothée understands that tailoring matters. It makes all the difference. Guys, you can have a $2,000 suit. If it doesn't fit you, it's not going to look great. You can have a $200 suit. You can have a suit that you pick up at a thrift store. You get it adjusted to fit you, or you're able to find something off the rack that fits you well. All of a sudden, you're going to look so much better than guys that are wearing things that aren't cut correctly. This can apply to jeans. If a t-shirt, I'm not saying you should get that tailored, but I'm saying buy a t-shirt, buy stuff off the rack that fits you really close, especially t-shirts. Don't buy one unless it fits you properly. In fact, I'll go as far as to say, if you don't know the name of your tailor, then you need, come on, take anything that doesn't fit. And you could have had that thing in your wardrobe for years. All of a sudden, you've lost some weight. You haven't been wearing it because it just doesn't look right. Guys, can you actually have that brought in? Maybe for $20, get it darted, or learn how to do it yourself. If you're on a really tight budget, ask a favor from a friend. All of a sudden, you've got more clothing in your wardrobe that just looks great on you. Let's talk about bold patterns and prints. So Timothée's pretty good with this, and he's got some fashion designers working on, I think, what was it, Ackerman or something, some of these suits. It is, pretty amazing. I'm not going to say that this is something I would recommend for everybody, but can you bring in a floral shirt? Can you maybe bring in a floral pocket square? Can you have a little bit of fun, maybe a pattern in those trousers? Don't be afraid to try something new. Now, bold patterns and prints, these are not going to be super interchangeable, but you've got a special event. You've got some, hey, you only wear this a couple times a year, and it is that go-to, jacket, that go-to shirt. I don't think there's anything wrong with having this in your wardrobe, especially if it spices things up, if you can have fun with it. That being said, Timothée definitely understands the classics, and he understands the power of monochromatic magic. What's the thing with monochromatic clothing? It allows the eyes to go up and down. And assuming the clothing fits well, if you're a little bit of a heavier guy, a bigger guy, bringing in a jacket. It doesn't have to be a suit. I get it, not for everybody, but here we're having fun with texture. You've got some jeans with that dark colored sports jacket. Again, it allows the eyes to go up and down. We don't get fixated on the stomach area, which a lot of guys, you're carrying an extra 20, maybe 40, 50 pounds around that midsection area. Well, when you wear the t-shirt or the shirt, the dress shirt with the high contrast, and you wear those, we're just staring right here at the stomach area versus you throw on that jacket, you got that monochromatic look, or you bring in a shirt that actually is close in color to the trousers. You just make it easier for the eyes to go up and down, match that belt right there, and we're going to be fixated. We're going to spend more time looking at your face. But of course, Mr. Chalamet is a skinnier dude, so he's going to get into layering. Now, the rules to layering are relatively simple. In general, you want to go with no more than 3 items, 2 if you're just getting started. Never have patterns right next to each other that they're the exact same size, because that can create the illusion of movement. And in general, the lower the layer, the closer to the body, usually the thinner whatever the closer fit material you want it to be. So you could have a t-shirt, you could have a button-down shirt, maybe a sweater on top of that, or a jacket. The only exception to this is sometimes that you will have a lightweight sweater that could be, rival the jacket, but what you don't want to have is a heavy wool sweater and then try to throw a sports jacket on top of that. It's a little bit too much and you're not going to have room in that jacket. Oh, and an advanced tip with layering is to change up the textures. So we were talking about that earlier, but maybe you've got a silk tie with a cotton shirt with a cashmere v-neck sweater. Right there, we got 3 different textures we're drawn in. You can even, throw in a herringbone, some type of sports jacket on top of that, bringing in that 4th, a little bit more advanced there. The next style secret to steal from Timothée Chalamet is to accessorize wisely, thoughtfully. Actually put some thought into what you're bringing in, the watch that you choose, with maybe a bracelet, maybe with a necklace, maybe a pair of vintage sunglasses, something that your grandfather, I know not everyone has these vintage pieces, but can you find something that you just really like and you're going to bring in, and you want to make sure it's not over the top, it's not grabbing too much attention, it complements what you're wearing. The key here is to keep it simple and put in the reps, have practiced wearing it. So it should be a ring, it could be an earring, but you don't want it to be the first time you're wearing it. You want to be comfortable in your own skin when you're pulling off these accessories. Next up, let's talk about cultural influence with Timothée Chalamet. He's French. He's got it pretty easy. Definitely some of the biggest fashion houses in the world all come out of France. But maybe you're from Mexico. Maybe you've got a Vietnamese background. Maybe South America. I don't know where you are from, but you probably have certain pieces of clothing that are heritage pieces that you could find a way to bring in. You're from Cuba. Your grandfather was anyway. And why don't you bring in a guayabera? Try it out. Just, wear it around the house, maybe wear it out and see how you feel. And there's all different types of guayaberas. Maybe you're Ukrainian. You want to bring in ushanka. My wife's going to kill me. Maybe you're Ukrainian or you just want to show support? Check out a traditional vyshyvanka. In fact, to make this video interesting, I would love to hear from you guys down in the comments. What traditional pieces of clothing would you love to see men bringing into their wardrobes, even if they're not from that culture, but still bringing it in because they want to support, because they just love history, because it makes any guy look good. Now, this next one's going to ruffle some feathers, but hear me out. His androgynous appeal. I know, not for everybody, and I'm not saying go out there and start cross-dressing or wearing women's clothing, even though I think he did in some cases. Point being is, first up, you have to have a lot of confidence. You got to know that everyone's looking at you, and it's probably part of the gig, if you're an actor, if you want people to be talking about you. But I think that there are so many examples of areas that a man can actually bring in something that maybe some people classified as feminine. This is one of my favorite fragrances. It's technically a woman's fragrance, I guess, or it's unisex. But here's the thing. I think it's absolutely beautiful and I rock it. So maybe it's women's flip-flops. I have a good friend that he just absolutely loves them and they're better quality than the men's version. Whatever it may be, if you can bring it into your wardrobe and it's better quality and not a big deal, who cares? That being said, I know a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me, or maybe you've got different tips you would like to add to today's video. Let me know in the comments below, gents. I love hearing from you. So what video to watch next? Well, gents, I got you covered with this one right here. Yeah, it's a solid video. Check it out. Boom, click right there. You will magically go to the next video. Just do it. Boom, click. While you're still here, click, click. Come on, guys. Yeah, right there.